Hello, and I would like to welcome you to another video. This is going to be a very different type of videos from the one we have seen before. It's going to be depending or depends greatly on the developer side of the story. Developer is an added ribbon to our list of ribbon with Microsoft Excel. If you don't have it in the list, we need to go to the option and we need to make sure that when we go to the custom ribbon, the developer is checked. For example, if I unchecked it here, you will notice it's gone from the list here, so it's not going to show here. If I need to add it because I don't see it, then I'm going to go to the option again, and we're going to go to custom ribbon, and you're going to check on it, and you will see that it's going to be part of the list of the ribbon. It's one of the most important ribbon in my opinion, because that's what gives you the chance to do so much development beyond the average user that mostly use what we see here as a list of cells and how to manipulate them through functions and formula. If we use the developer, we have to be careful about a few things. For example, in order to utilize this, we need to be able to record macros. We can also create some sort of functions of our own, which means if we could not find a function that is suitable for us in Excel, and we know that we're going to do that task over and over again, we could build a function that is going to do that task for us repeatedly, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time we do it. So let's go ahead and first of all start with the simplest type, which is to record a macro. Macro is, by definition, is multiple steps or even formulas or function that you want to combine together as one, compiled as one. It is one big task that is going to be triggered by either like a combination of keyboards and the keys in the keyboard, or by clicking on the name of that macro, or also by activating it directly from the list of the macro, which we're going to see all that. That doesn't make any sense if we're just going to talk about it. So here we go. When we click in the developer, we're going to go ahead and start record a macro. But again, my biggest warning here, and I'm going to go ahead and put the word warning so it's stick in your mind, so you don't have a chance to really forget this. I'm going to go ahead and make it very big word here, so I'll be able warning. I misspelled the word warning, so I'll go ahead and even correct it for you so you'll be able to see it. The warning here, I'm going to go ahead and make it even kind of like dangerous with a red color, and even merge the cells so you remember that. My warning here, even though I'm about doing it with kind of like exaggeration, because a lot of people, including myself, forget to do that when they're recording their macros. When we record our macros, we have to go ahead and go to the file and make sure that when we're trying to save that file that include the macro, I want to save it in my computer or anywhere, of course, it doesn't matter. Let's say I want to save it into my quizzes. And I wanted to go ahead and make sure that I don't let Excel save it for me as an Excel worksheet. I want to save it as Excel macro enabled workbook. If I don't do that, I'm going to lose all the work, and when I get it to the other side, or when you send it to your employees or send it to your coworker or to your professors, they're not going to be able to see it, because the macro is going to be deleted, and it's going to be really an ugly file with all type of mistake. So make sure again when we save our work, it's going to be basically emphasizing the fact that this file is a macro enabled file, so I don't really get nothing when I do, because the macro has its own recording and it has its own instruction that has to be added to the file that you will send it. And of course, a lot of email system will be dropping or refusing to see those files that have macros, because a lot of people use macros in order to send viruses and malware to other people. Of course, none of us is going to be that malicious, but for the purpose of learning, we need to know this is how we should be doing it. So having said that, of course, we could go back and delete the warning, because I'm going to select, of course, this cell here, and I'm going to go to the home, and I'm going to go to clear everything, so I don't have to go and worry about clearing the contents or the formatting individually. All right, let's go back to developer, and I'm going to show you how to record a macro. Let's assume that we have a constant need to do a header for our logos or for our company. Let's say here I wanted to put between A and G. I wanted to put, let's say, hello, this or welcome to Dr. Hijazi. And I want to go ahead and put that every time I start, or I will say whatever is the logo of your company or business or whatever. You could do that. This is really an example, very easy example to show you how macro works. So I'm going to go ahead and say developer. I'm going to go ahead and record a macro, and I'm going to call it logo or title. Maybe title is a better name. And here I wanted to go ahead and short key, meaning what are those short keys that I'm going to use as a combination of keys in the keyboard that will activate. You could use control and lowercase letter. That will be control and, let's say, T by itself. That will be fine. I like to actually press the shift key and type T, so the combination of keys is control shift T in order to activate this macro. And notice we have a 3 option in order to store the macro in our training here. We wanted to really store it in this workbook because I don't want it to have it available for me every time I start a new workbook. And more than anything, if you really wanted to do it as a personal, which means it's going to be available to you through every instance of using your Microsoft Excel, whether it's in something like in the past that you created or something you created in the future, that macro will trace you or go with you every time you open, again, Excel. There is a need for all of this. You know, there's some macros I want them to be with me for the rest of my life because they're so helpful, and so I spend hours trying to develop them. So I'll have them as a personal, but if something simple that I could deal with, or I don't need it except like once in 100 years, I know I'm going to go ahead and save it for this workbook and never look at it again. So this is a choice you have to make. And now when we say OK, if you notice now in developer, the stop recording is activated, meaning I am in the mode of recording everything. Any click you do, it's going to actually be recorded. In order for me to show you what happens behind the scene, I'm going to restore this screen here, and I'm going to make it a little bit, stretch it a little bit and take it here all the way up. And this is basically the view of my Excel. But if I click in developer, because I'm recording the macro style, it's going to go actually into the Visual Basic side of the story. Here we go. I'm going to restore that also and put it in the bottom, so I'll actually see directly what is the macro is doing behind the scene. A lot of people don't care about it. That's fine, because you're really concerning with producing the result. But here I want you to know that when I clicked on, let me go ahead and make this stay there so it doesn't go back and forth. When I started the macro, I haven't recorded yet anything. It really added a modular for me, the module, and it's module 1, which I could change its name, of course. And I'm going to click on it. Now, everything I did, the macro is called title, and it tells me that the combination of the letter, it reminds me of it. All the scrolling that I did back and forth, it's been recorded for me. Of course, I know that these are meaningless, so I could delete them. But please, when you start recording macros, don't delete anything, because yet you don't know so much about them, so we don't know which one to delete and which one to leave. So I know I've been really trying to scroll around in order to get you to see both of the screen together. So for example, now let's go ahead and start the macro. I'm going to go ahead and select between A all the way to G. Look here, the statement, it says range A through G1, select. We will learn about that maybe in advanced class or another programming class for VBA, which is the language that actually behind the scene. It's not hard at all, believe me. It's nothing like C or Java, or it's very easy language, and you could see the result in front of you. So I'm going to go ahead and say merge. I'm looking for the merge in the home, merge and center. So immediately it added all this text in order to do the merge. And I'm going to go ahead and say, select that range again. I'm going to say here, hello from Dr. Hijazi. Hello from Dr. Hijazi. And of course, we could go ahead and do some really tweaking here. I wanted to make the whole thing my favorite color, which is, in this case, I'm going to click here, then click back here in order to get the color. I'm going to make it blue, and I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit larger, even make it different font. I could go ahead and use this Adobe, and I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit larger, so you notice that it's really formatted center bottom. So I'll go ahead to the alignment and make it center. So go ahead, all that is being recorded, and you notice this one here, and it's really looking good. So I'm not going to really spend so much time doing this with different things, just a simple task. If I wanted to add a picture here, I could do that, and so forth. So what we're going to do is to maybe I could say here the date. I'm going to go ahead and say today, and this is a function, as we all know. It's going to actually show you the date. Just put the date in here. And also I could go ahead and get a color that is close to, here we go, just to show you that we could do a calculation. I'm going to go also to the alignment and maybe make it 30-degree, the date, so it will look a little bit better. Here we go. And whether it looks better or not, that's up to you, of course, but I'm going to go ahead and just to show you that you could do that. And I'm going to go to the developer, and it's about the time to stop the recording. Here we go. We're going to stop the recording. Look here. All these lines that I see in front of me is really done by the recording of the macro. The more time we spend learning about this, the more we will see the same thing being repeated, so we'll start to get familiar with. Of course, you have to have a commitment with yourself that you're going to learn VBA, which is the Visual Basic for Application, which is the language of the macros. Anyway, in order for me to go ahead and now I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and I'm going to maximize this, so I'll see this. I could delete everything, for example, if I want to go ahead and delete all this, clear everything, meaning even the centering. Here we go. And we could go back to click that twice, in order to get it normal. And regardless of where I am in the macro, because I start recording with this cell, so it knows how to go to this cell, I'm going to go and I'm pressing now Control-Shift-T. And notice how the macro is created for me. If I go into a different sheet, because this is now the active sheet versus the first one, Control-Shift-T, and here we go. Why this is smaller than the previous? Because the view in the previous one was 200%, and this one was 100%, so it's going to look small. Okay, you could actually leave it 100%, record the macro on the style or the size that you want it. So that's basically up to you. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to continue with two other functions that we're going to build ourselves. So we're going to learn about user-defined functions, and after that we're going to actually build a small application, how to use really some of those tools like combo box and maybe a checkbox and maybe option box, and we'll see that in a small tiny little application to make sense out of it. Thank you and have a great day.